Chair Cargill, board members, I appreciate so much being able to come here today. I represent the Texas Coalition to Protect Student Privacy, and we are an affiliate, actually, of the National Coalition to Protect Student Privacy, which works to prohibit the automatic release of student information to military recruiting services based on information that's gathered from the test results from the Armed Services Vocational Battery. Across the country, there is concern that this test is administered throughout public schools in our country without parents' knowledge. So that's why I'm here. I would like to preface my presentation by saying that I live in Fort Worth. I'm a native Texan. I've raised 4 children in the Fort Worth school system. I'm 75 years old, and I drove all the way here by myself to make this presentation. So I do so appreciate being here. The Armed Services Vocational Battery, you're probably familiar with this. We've had some letter writing people writing letters because they are concerned about this. So some of you may have received some of those letters already, and you may have already read some of the information that I'm going to give. The Armed Services Vocational Battery is the military's entrance exam, which is given to fresh recruits to determine their aptitude for various military occupations. The test is also used as a recruiting tool in 833 high schools throughout Texas. And during the 2010-2011 school year, this 4-hour test was used by the military recruiting services to gain sensitive personal information to 63,787 high school students, the vast majority of whom are under the age of 18. In high schools throughout Texas, the ASVAB is promoted without revealing the military function, the primary function as a recruiting tool. Students typically are given the test at school without parental knowledge or consent. That is basically why we're here. It's given throughout the country, most of the time without parent knowledge or consent. The school board the school-based ASVAB career exploration program is among the military's most effective recruiting tools. Nationally, 12,000 high schools across the country allow the military to administer the test to 652,000 high school students. Teachers and administrators often remind students that educational records are highly confidential and that third-party access to that information is restricted. Based on this information alone, a student has a reasonable expectation that his schoolwork will be private and kept private. In addition, the particular setting surrounding the actual administration of the ASVAB increases the student's reasonable expectation of privacy because the test is given within the school where it's common knowledge that student records are confidential, so therefore the student assumes, as does the parent, that this is confidential information, which it should be. With respect to parents' expectation of privacy, it is important to first recognize that parents entrust schools with their children's personal information with the expectation that schools will safeguard that information. And the school administrators are not expected to be family law experts. They are expected, however, to be sufficiently familiar with the laws to understand who may make educational decisions regarding children, who may have access to students, and who may have access to students' records. The expectation.
Flip, can you wrap up in one sentence, please? That was your time. Thank you.
Okay. Again, I drove all the way from Fort Worth to be here. So what I'd like to express to you, you have a document in addition to the basic document from which I was reading. You have a document that talks about recruiter release options, and what that is. The military actually gives all schools these options regarding the taking of the ASVAB test. Few administrators know about those options. We have experienced ourselves and have reports where people went to administrators, talked to school attorneys, talked to many people who did not know that they had the option which is option 8, to choose, which actually limits the school knowledge, the school test results.
Okay, Ms. Wood, I'll have to stop you, but we might have a question. So
Okay.
You came very well informed, and we appreciate your drive down. So, Mrs. Bahorich.
Can you just tell us exactly what the request is of the state board?
We are requesting the state board to require all schools in Texas to choose option 8, which is that form that you have in front of you. It is the only option that the military gives schools to not release the results of the ASVAB to military recruiters. It's released only to the parents, which is where it should be released to. Now, if the parent decides that he or she or the student decides that they actually do want those test results released, all they have to do is sign a form. That's all included in the ASVAB manual, which any military recruiter will provide, and it's easy to access. So we're requesting that the State Board of Education require that all schools in Texas choose option 8, because it is the schools that choose. An individual or parent cannot choose. It has to be the school.
Okay, Mr. Rowley, and then Mr. Maynard, and then Ms. Knight.
Yes, Ms. Wood, thank you for being here. We appreciate you taking the time to drive up. You also provided us a couple of handouts that say option 8 choice in Texas public schools, and you list a number of schools there in this document. Are these the schools that currently follow option 8? Is that what that's intended to represent?
That's correct, and thank you for allowing me to mention that. There are actually 110 schools in Texas which actually already choose option 8. And that's something like 8,000 students. It's listed at the bottom of that form, 8,000 or so students who actually already take the test under option 8. So it's not anything that's, radical or not known. What happens is, if the school doesn't choose it, or the state doesn't choose it, it automatically reverts to option 1, which is that first option, which means that all the test results will be sent to military recruiters within 7 days of the test results being given.
Okay, just a follow-up question, Madam Chair. So I think I'm hearing in your testimony that decision is typically made on a local basis by school boards?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's as the document, the larger document states at the end, the Maryland legislature has just now, in this past year, passed a law that all schools must choose option 8.